What's up, guys? First of all, thank you for your incredible golden support. Right now there's a sale going on jackedfactory.com. Use code Wesley 25 for 25% off. Only active for 2 days if you want to try any of their scientifically, clinically dosed supplements that taste amazing. Trust me. Let me know how they taste, guys. Then use code Wesley25. Link is down below, and you might be able to try this Whey Ice, for example, which I'll be taking with me to the Olympia, or this Pro Series pre-workout, watermelon flavor. Trust me, guys, the flavoring is just amazing. The ingredients are amazing, and I'm beyond thrilled that I'm part of the Jacked Factory army. So if you want to support me and at the same time try out those supplements, let me know what you think. If you have any questions, let me know as well. And yeah, let's go to the leg video. What's up, guys? Welcome to Vintage Genetics, where it is all about classic bodybuilding. Today will be a heavy leg workout with my brother Kane, so it's going to be an insane workout. So what do we need during the workout? A very good intra-workout nutrition, especially since I'm now prepping for the Olympia. Every ounce of power during the workout is important. So we have 3 supplements we'll be using. I use this year-round, but especially now it's very important. The first thing is going to be a carb source, an essential amino acid source, and a hydration source, all by Jacked Factory. So how much are we using? We have 2 shaker cups here. Together this is almost 2 liters, and I want to drink that at least, but even more during the workout, ideally. So 1 scoop of this is about 30 grams of carbs. We're going to divide this into 2 shaker cups, so half a scoop in here, and the other half in here. Whoa! And then that's a carb source, the amino acids. So 1 scoop of this is 14.5 grams, so that's perfect for the workout. Again, a complete scoop, half of it in here, the other half in here. And then the hydration part. Now this is Hydra Surge. These 2 are quite known for people, what they do, but this one contains minerals and electrolytes to keep you from actually cramping up, for example. When you are working out, you're using sodium, you're losing a lot of the electrolytes during the sweating that you do. And it's hot today, and we're gonna do a leg workout. You will see me sweat for sure, and this will replenish all of those electrolytes. So, for example, this potassium in here, sodium, but also a coconut water blend, and that's the best source of balanced electrolytes there is. And on top of this all, it tastes incredible. This flavor is orange mango, so no matter what you put in your shaker, if you put this with it, it's gonna taste amazing. So we have 1 scoop, half of it in here, other half in here. And then the final ingredient, not a supplement, but it is Himalayan pink salt. I always add this to the shaker cups, so 3 grinds in each. And all I did for the rest is have my scoop of Pro Series pre-workout by Jacked Factory, which has had a lot of, for example, L-citrulline, beta-alanine, betaine for the very good pump, but also enough caffeine for energy during the workout. So let's get this ready and get rolling for the workout. Okay, guys, the first movement, as always, is going to involve the hamstring. So this is an isolation movement. This gym has a seated leg curl, which I'm using right now. And this is slightly superior to the laying leg curl because of the stretch you get, because your legs are already being stretched, because on a laying leg curl, you're basically straight. And here you're sitting down, which your leg is actually in a different angle compared to your hip. So let's do this. Alrighty, guys, so we are indeed starting with the seated leg curl because it has been proven to be the superior leg curl for sure. But if you have the possibility of doing multiple different kinds of leg curls in your gym, just switch them around. So 1 workout you do the seated leg curl, the other time the laying leg curl, and maybe even a unilateral laying leg curl. So right now, and I'm training mostly at 100% Fit Gym, which is our own gym. It just has a laying leg curl. One time we do with 2 legs and the other time with 1 leg, and whenever you do with 1 leg, it gives you the opportunity to work on the weaker leg first. So a lot of people, if you do a side chest from the right or the left, you can see a big difference in how the body looks, especially the hamstring. So my hamstring drop on the right side, for example, is a lot better compared to the hamstring drop on the left side. So my left leg, my left hamstring actually needs a bit more growth, more mass to be comparable to the right one. So if you have a seated leg curl and a laying leg curl, I still would recommend doing at least 1 unilateral movement. Now there's also the standing leg curl, which you could of course include, but in my personal opinion, and also according to literature, that is the least effective one out of the 3. So if you do a unilateral one, I would stick to the laying leg curl, but make sure to always prioritize the seated leg curl if your gym has it. Because the hamstrings for me are, always a point of improvement, I like to start every single leg workout with a leg curl exercise, and obviously we want to put a lot of effort into these sets. So we're doing 3 working sets in total. The first working set, which means a set to failure, is lower reps, so under 10 reps. The second working set, as you just saw, is in between, a little over 12 reps, and this one will be around 15 reps, and every single time I drop the weight with 10 kilos, allowing me to do a little more volume for each set. So when you are locked into your workouts and you log all your lifts, you know exactly how many reps you can do with a certain amount of weight. And I would recommend to always start your working sets with the heaviest weight, and then go 20% lighter. And if you do 2 working sets, then go 20% lighter again, because then you get the heavy work done first and the more metabolic demanding work done second, which is also very important. And of course, I am training with my brother Kane. Make sure to follow him at Kane Vintage Genetics on Instagram, and he would really love your guys' support. We are both, by the way, wearing the oversized gym tee available on vintagegenetics.com. And they are very popular, multiple colors available, and thank you very much if you want to check out the website. And yeah, let's go to the next movement. Okay guys, the next movement after the hamstrings is the adductor, so the inside of the legs. The bigger the inside is, the bigger your whole leg will look. So even if you have big quads and small insides, it's not going to be very big looking on stage. So this gym also has an adductor machine, so let's make the most of it. Okay, so every time I visit a gym that has an adductor machine like this, I simply do it. A lot of people think this is a useless exercise, but if you look at the biggest, baddest bodybuilders with the biggest inner thighs, most of them do this machine diligently, because this is the only way to truly isolate the adductors, aka the inner thighs. And as I mentioned before, the quads can be very big, but if the inner thighs are not, your legs will still look a little stringy, and that is exactly what I want to avoid. Also, especially on poses from the back, like the back double bicep or even the back relaxed pose. If you don't put your legs right in the right position, you want to actually get a gaping hole in between your legs. Even though the hamstrings, the quads, basically the entire upper leg is pretty big, but if the inner thighs don't have the mass, then it simply won't look right. And ever since I've been working on exercises like the wide stance belt squat, hex squat, sprint machine squat, going as deep as I can, that also really work the inner thighs, but also doing this movement whenever I can to true failure, I really notice that my poses from the back look a lot more complete, because my back is one of, a stronger point in my physique. And if the legs then look skinny from the back, that just doesn't look good. And during this movement, what you want to do, if the stack is too light, you want to turn these reps into paused reps, which is what I'm doing. So stretch out as much as you can, then pause at the contraction and just keep going until failure is hit. Okay guys, the next one is going to be the leg extension unilaterally, which means one leg at a time, and this is the perfect opportunity to start with a weak leg first and then the strong leg to compensate for any imbalance. So let's go. Do not underestimate the leg extension. There are also various types of leg extension you can use, but pick, if your gym has multiple leg extension machines, pick the one that allows you to fully contract, but also fully stretch the quads. This is the only movement that allows you to fully shorten the quad muscle if you compare it to a squat or a leg press or pretty much any other compound movement. The tension is lost when the leg is straight. Here it is the opposite. The tension is maxed out when the leg is straight, and that gives this movement a unique position in your workout and a unique opportunity to work on isolating those quads and getting those details carved in, especially the two quad heads in the middle. You can really make them very detailed and make them more massive than before because of the isolation factor of this leg extension. Now, what you don't want to do is go way too heavy, because some people have knee problems when doing leg extensions. There's a lot of tension and pressure on the knees. So what I then suggest is, of course, warm up quite a lot. Do the leg curls first to get blood in the muscle. Use a light weight and do at least 15 reps. But also use supplements that help the joints. And for example, Jacked Factory has a supplement called Joint Pro Series, and this supplement has multiple ingredients, but also curcumin, guys, and that comes from the turmeric I like to use in my golden rice. But the active ingredient here has been proven in a lot, and I mean a lot of studies, to lower inflammation in the body and fix and help alleviate a lot of ailments in the body, one of which is inflammation around the joints and the tendons. So taking this supplement really does help, but make sure to take it not close to the workout, but either in the morning or in the evening, depending on when you work out during the day. Now, with the weight you use on a leg extension, it is very important that you don't choose a weight that is too heavy, no matter if you have joint issues, because if you choose a weight that is too heavy, your range of motion will be too short. So, and by the way, I'm also doing this unilaterally. Why? Because my left leg can use a little bit more mass compared to the right leg in totality. So using the weak leg first and then matching the reps with the strong leg fixes that over a long period of time. But what I mentioned about the weight is, with the leg extension and with the possibility of getting a maximum shortening of the muscle at the top, if you use a heavy weight, you won't be able to fully shorten the muscle at the top. And that is exactly what makes this exercise so unique. So a lot of people like to do a lot of weight because, this is 35 kilos each. I bet there's a lot of people watching right now who do double that weight, but look at my upper body. I'm not swinging, I'm not cheating, it's just the leg working. So if you don't use momentum, if you use purely the muscle contraction and the stretch, it will prevent a lot of injuries, it will prevent the joints from being hurt too much, from having to use too much weight. We are bodybuilders and we don't care necessarily about moving as much weight as possible if we can't move it in a correct manner for maximum muscle growth. Kane here, for example, he is using some knee sleeves to keep his legs and knees warm, because he is someone who gets a bit more knee pain, and I used to have it in the past as well, which is why I do use knee sleeves on some movements to prevent my knee from being irritated. But it is one way, another extra way to protect your knees. Okay, now it's time for the first compound movement, the Hex Squat. We're using reverse bands to lower the pressure on the knees at the bottom, which is also why I'm wearing knee sleeves at the end of contest prep. estrogen is low, protection of the joint is low, fats are low, so there's a little cushioning naturally to protect the joints and tendons. So we're using all tools we can to make sure the joints stay intact. Let's go. Alright, the Hex Squat, guys. This is going to be an interesting one. Now, this particular Hex Squat, trust me, it is very heavy, even with the reverse bands. Now, the tension of the reverse bands at the very top is 0, by the way, which if you can utilize that will be perfect. You only want those bands to help you come out of the bottom, not to be able to do more weight, but just to take some pressure off of the knees. That is all. So now I'm showing you the first working set. So it's only 3.5 plates each side. Now this is a combination of 2 factors. The first one, this Hex Squat, is very heavy as I mentioned, but also my leg strength is not up to par to what it normally is. I can do at least almost double this weight normally, but and that's another Hex Squat, by the way. But this is less. Well, I think this is my second leg workout after doing the Poland show, and before doing a show, at least that's what I used to do. You don't train the legs for at least 9 or 10 days beforehand, and you get dehydrated at the show, and dehydration causes a lot of muscle weakness. So there are multiple factors of me not being used to the weight. It's basically a novel stimulus by this point, and I also want to be careful. I don't have much carbs in me, etc., etc. But I do have to be honest, I always notice a drop in strength in between shows because I can't rebound really. And normally when I rebound, my strength is through the roof within a couple of weeks, actually 1 week only, but my weight also goes up quite quickly. Conditioning stays pretty stable, but the strength and the weight go up quite nicely, which is very nice for a rebound. But I can't afford a rebound like that now, because I'm still getting even more conditioned for the Mr. Olympia, which I'm incredibly excited for. So this is going to be a rest pause set. So we just did the first working set, lower than 10 reps, just to see how much strength I have around that rep range. And now this is a second working set with a little less weight, and the goal was to do at least 15 reps at this set. But after the first set, we're going to failure again, which is what you will see in just a minute. And what I'm wearing here to protect and to allow full range of motion is the knee sleeves. It allows me to go as deep as possible without feeling much of knee pain at all. The reverse bands, which also take off some pressure at the very bottom, which normally I would feel my kneecaps shooting out. If you feel that same thing, try out the reverse band technique. And the third thing is wearing weightlifting shoes with an elevated heel, because those really help people with not flexible ankles to actually allow you to go deeper without your ankles being the limiting factor in the movement. Now you just saw the failure set number 2, so that's a lot less reps because I'm only taking 10 to 15 breaths in between sets, and that is not nearly enough to recuperate the oxygen and the glucose into the muscle for another all-out set. All you can do is as many reps as you can until you're hitting failure again, and that means you're hitting a lot more difficult reps, and it's the difficult reps that will cause a stimulus for muscle growth, which is why intensifiers like this are very useful during contest prep. Now, of course, Kane is doing the exact same thing, and with the Hex Squat, guys, always go lower than 90 degrees. I used to be, and I think I even told you guys on this channel myself, if you just go to 90 degrees, it's fine. But honestly, throughout the years, you learn more and more. And going lower than 90 degrees, you are weaker. Yes, you are weaker. But what is happening? So what is happening is your quads are then stretching out more. And the bigger the stretch, the better the growth signal will be. And that is what we want, that's what we're training for. So it will be a shame not to utilize that extra few inches down to get a response. Now, another effect of a full range of motion like this is a longer time under tension, which is also one of the principles of building muscle. But also, if you go very deep on any compound movement for the legs, you work the inner thighs. So it's not just limited to the quads then, but you're also letting those inner thighs being activated, and the glutes, which usually are weak points in people's lower bodies. But if you want to make it a strong point, go deep. Okay, it's time for the Smith machine squat. So we just did the Hex Squat with reverse bands, and now we're doing a Smith machine squat with reverse bands. And this feels amazing because it feels just like a regular squat, but it's much safer. You can position your legs the way you want, allowing your back to stay a lot more upright and not stressing the lower back as much. So let's do this. Smith machine time. Smith machine squats, for that matter. I love this movement. We were, again, using the reverse bands because they help you take off pressure off the knees at the very bottom. And it honestly, it allows you to go as deep as I can, you know, as deep as I physically can, without my lower back being impaired, you know, without feeling the knees. It just feels so much better on being able to isolate the legs that I've never really turned back on using reverse bands on movements like this. Now on the belt squat it is not needed at all because that to me is the perfect squat exercise anyway. On the leg press I also don't use reverse bands because then your leg and foot positioning can be adjusted in such a way that you feel no lower back and only the quads as well. But with exercises that put pressure on the back by pushing down on your traps and ultimately on your spine as well, using something that gets pressure off of your body at the very bottom really does help keeping those joints and those bone structures healthier, in my opinion, because I've never had lower back or any joint issues anymore ever since I've done that, combined with using those supplements that I mentioned before for the joints and the knee sleeves, etc. It's always a complete package you have to adhere to, but every single thing definitely counts. Now, the benefit of a Smith machine squat compared to a regular squat is that your foot positioning can be very different, because what I want to do, what feels best for me personally, is to keep my upper body upright, and that with a regular back squat with this foot positioning would be impossible. So I put my feet a little, I want to put them as much beneath me as I can. So as you can see, that stretches out the quads very nicely, and when I go down I want to make sure that my hamstrings touch the calves. When you feel that feeling, it just feels so satisfying knowing that you're hitting full range of motion, which is just so very vital during leg workouts. And we are doing the same here compared to the Hex Squat. One more intensifier technique. Now, if you're starting a new workout plan, which I also make for people, I usually don't recommend using a lot of intensifiers right from the get-go, because you simply don't know your strength with those exercises just yet. So if you choose a weight that is too heavy here, making it even more intense will actually be a little dangerous, because you can see I'm doing more than 10 reps on the first set, and I'm only hitting like 3 reps on these 2 failure sets, which is more than 3 times the lesser of the amount of reps I used to be able to hit. So take that into account when using intensifiers like a rest pause set. Alright guys, time for the last movement. So we did 3 isolations, 2 compounds, and now it's time for another isolation for the lower legs, the calves. Now if you have weak calves, I would suggest doing 2 calf exercises, 1 straight legged and 1 seated. What I like to do is just 1 exercise seated, and then the next time I train legs I do a straight legged exercise to target all the calf muscles. But this time we're going to do the seated calf raise with both calves. Let's do it. Now the last movement is a seated calf raise, and I will tell you guys later on as well, but if your calves are not a strong point, I would really recommend doing a straight-legged calf press or calf raise and the seated calf raise every single time that you train the calves. Because just like with the hamstrings, if your legs are straight, you target the hamstrings differently than when you are in a seated position. The same thing happens for the calves, and it's even more extreme here, because with the seated calf raise, you literally hit a part of the calf much more intense compared to a straight-legged calf raise where you barely hit that part at all. And if you want the fullest possible, most massive calves, I would definitely recommend doing those too. I, however, because my calves already are a strong point and I don't necessarily want them to become overly big compared to the upper legs, I like to only do 2 working sets every single time that I train the calves, and one time it's a seated calf raise, and the other time it's usually a calf press on the leg press. And even I also switch in between unilateral calf raise or presses and with both legs at the same time, because it allows me once again to work on one calf that is a bit smaller than the other. However, in my physique, the calves are pretty much the same, so then I look more at strength, and my left calf is a little weaker compared to the right calf, so I then start with the left one, do as many reps as I can until hitting failure, and then use the right one to match the reps. That is very important for you guys to remember. If you want a balanced body, you also have to balance the strength, balance the range of motion. Everything has to be the same. It cannot ever be 100% the same, but the closer you get, the better it'll be for your proportions and symmetry. And with the calf raise, you also want to go as heavy as you can and make the range of motion as large as you can without going under around 10 reps, because you need volume to get some calf growth impulses. Okay guys, that was the workout. So 3 isolations, 2 compounds, and 1 for the calves. As I mentioned, calf do twice as much as me because my calves are a strong point, and I don't want to waste any kilos for the classic physique class on my calves. I want to waste them, I'll use them for the upper legs for sure. Anyway guys, thank you a lot for the support. At the beginning of the training I showed you the supplements I use. Don't forget to use code Wesley for 20% off all of those jacked factory supplements. Link down below, and don't forget to check out vintagegenetics.com for old school clothing, oversized clothing, golden era collection, and much more. Once again, thank you for watching, and don't forget to stay golden.